Hi everyone, thank you very much for joining me again here on Ready Set Test on the third video, the series on the Arkbird Mini AAT. Now the winds in here have been really bad. I flew with the Arkbird Mini AAT once, I even made a video of it, but I lost one of my servos in so doing. It was really windy. It was a good flight on the part of the antenna tracker, but it was a bad flight that I lost the servo. Managed to land the aeroplane, but once the weather gets stable, we will be doing more videos on the range of this antenna and how this thing actually works out there in the field. And for the time being, let's talk about calibration. Calibration is important for a device like this because it works on compass bearings. So before you get to fly, you want to make sure that it knows where north is. That's the most important thing. But basically roughly have an idea that it knows where north, east, west and south is. And for that you have to go through a calibration process. It takes about 3 minutes. It is mentioned that if you're flying from the same field, you don't have to do it again and again. I very much recommend doing it every single time before flying. It takes about 2 to 3 minutes. You will see how long it takes. You can time it, and it just works well. It's as simple as that. So, you know, it's a fail-safe that you need. Calibration is probably the most important thing with antenna trackers or anything that is based on compass bearing. So I'm going to try to do this in one take. Now I know my bearings in here where I'm making this video in my kitchen. I know exactly where north, east, south and west are. Obviously where you are, you should know that. If you don't, use your mobile phone or any other compass that you have to make sure that this thing is pointing in the right direction. And if it isn't pointing north properly, then what you can do is you can use the channel and the offline buttons in here. Up here you have channel and offline buttons right underneath, two black buttons. You might not see it very well at the moment because they are black, but you can use the channel and offline button to go either left or right in order to point in the right direction. Do not press the cal button while doing it because that will take you to the next bearing in the compass. But if it's already pointing in the right direction, then you can just press the cal button and move on. We start the process by moving the cal button, which is short for calibration. So let's give it a try. We will try to do this in one take. Hopefully it works. We give it some power. First thing you'll notice is the two lights come on, and the next thing is the number of the video channel has come on. So we will take the cal button, calibration button, the button in the middle, keep it pressed until the line appears up top. Then we give it 3 vertical spins, or however many it takes to bring the line right down to the bottom of display, which it has. Now we're going to give it 3 vertical spins, or however many it takes to move the antenna tracker. And it has moved. Put the antenna tracker down and watch it find north. That's the important thing. Now I happen to know that that is north. Where I am, that is north. It is moving a little bit, but we need to look for the center point. Okay. Yeah, that is north. That is good. It will keep moving. I have noticed that. It doesn't just completely stand still, but this is facing north. If it was pointing a little bit here or a little bit over there, then I will use channel and offline buttons to make it face the middle. But this is north. So what I'll do is I'll press the cal button and it will go east. There we go. It's now pointing east. If you want to make a change in it, we can press the channel button. I'm pressing the channel button. If you can see, it's coming more towards north. If I press offline button, it's going to go more towards east, which is what I want it to do. I want it to find the true east. And there it is, right? I'm going to press the cal button again. That's going to go for south. Now, as you can see, it's pointing roughly towards south, but it's a little bit out of alignment. So I'm going to press the channel button in order to make it face the right south. There we go, it's got it. And now calibration button again to go for west. West is easy, that's where the sun sets. And we have all that done. We press the calibration button again and the antenna tracker is calibrated. Now once you set up all the directions with the channel and the offline button, you don't have to do them again. That's one of those things. Then when you do it, it knows its directions quite well. Now, in spite of using those little adjustments, it took just about 2 minutes. Now after this, it will take less and less time to do that. And now, obviously, if your aeroplane is ready to go, you press the tracking button, and now it's in tracking mode. Now this thing is actively looking for a signal coming from an FPV plane in order to track it. And if you want it to stand up, in other words, once you've stopped flying and you want to store this thing, it's always a good idea to press the offline button for it to face upwards like this. And that is that. So this was calibration. Now I want to talk about channels. Now you see this display up here, very bright. It's a cathode ray display, but it's also a singular display. Now this can cause problems when you're reading it. See the button in here, we have the channel button. How do you find your channel? See, when you keep pressing the channel button, these numbers will change, and at certain points they will flash. The important thing you need to check is the little dot in here. See, I'll keep pressing channel. Now you see A is flashing, but that doesn't matter much. You need to look at the decimal dot. It's flashing really fast. Keep going through that. Look, now I've come to numbers, and the dot is flashing twice and then disappearing for a very long time. That means we're in a different 16 band of video channels. Because of being a singular display, this is what it uses to communicate with you. And now the dot has completely disappeared. So we are in a different set of 16 channels. Now I can't tell you which is which. For that you will have to go down to the Arkbird Mini AAT manual. They've actually now given you a very nice channel selection chart. I will put the manual or a link to it or the PDF of it just underneath this video so you know what you're doing. But the important thing is that it's not as much the numbers and the letters as it is the flashing dot, which basically signifies the different batches. Now for me, as you knew from the very start, I know that my video comes in at the fast flashing dot and number 9. There we go. Now you can find your video channel by working at the looking at the chart, the channel chart on the Arkbird Mini AAT manual, or if you got time on your hand, you can literally just keep pressing this button until the video appears on the screen. It's rather as simple as that. Rudimentary, but simple. So here is the calibration and channel selection on the Arkbird Mini AAT. Now, keeping that a little bit to the side, let's talk roughly about the airside module. The airside module has been covered in other videos before. Painless 360 has done a very good video on how to wire one of these modules. I strongly recommend watching his video. I'll probably link it down at the bottom of my video as well. There's a great channel on all things FPV. I know I have learned a lot from it. So you can see that for the detail of how to wire this thing up, but just to give you a rough idea, we hold it like this. If we hold it like this, this little white Molex connector should always be on your left hand side, and this should also signify that this is the part where connections come in, and this part on the right hand side is where the connections go out. This is where your GPS will go in, a GPS unit. Now, as I told you before, I fly with an Arkbird 2.0, which means for me this is redundant, I don't need that, but let's just say you don't, or say you have another OST. You can take a GPS connection here. In here, your camera feed will come in, but the camera feed is only the bottom wire, just the yellow wire. The black and red are the power. Remember, this thing needs power. You can put a 3-cell LiPo into it and they'll give it power, and then it has a 5-volt feed to your other things, like for example your video transmitter. And on the other hand, there are 4 pins in here, and these will send out power, ground, and video out to your video transmitter. And this last little bit in here, which by the way Arkbird provides you with all these wirings with it, this little last bit in here is audio. Now some of you, I know a lot of you wouldn't use audio, but it's a good idea to use audio because both audio and video are used as channels for this thing's operation. Just to delve into it really quickly, how does this thing work? Well, basically what it does is takes signals from the GPS in here, it takes video from your camera, and it takes power from these 2 wires from whatever you're providing it power from. May it be a small lithium polymer battery or you know, nickel battery, whatever you're providing it with. It takes that. Now what happens is in here algorithms happen, or you know, to me it's just magic basically. And what happens is the GPS signal comes in here, the camera signal comes in here, this thing mixes them together, And once it's mixed them together, it actually sends it out via this port to the video transmitter. Now what it has done is it has taken the video signal from your camera and embedded a stream of data into it, which relates to the GPS coordinates of your aeroplane. And these are being embedded into it at a very fast speed, refreshed at many hundred times a second, what I would believe so. Otherwise, your tracker would be left behind. And once that is all mixed in, it's sent out through here to your video transmitter, and your video transmitter transmits it out into the air, where this catches it and works out the location of your aeroplane, and then it goes on with it. Now, as you can see, it's not the simplest of processes, quite a complicated process, but it works very fast because the signals travel at the speed of light, and it works out quite well and keeps in track with your aeroplane. Here is another one of those reasons why you should never expect your antenna tracker to be completely pointing to the center of your plane, because there's some calculation going on, which means it eventually points towards the plane. And remember, if you're flying an aeroplane, there's always a, say you're using a circular polarized antenna, a cloverleaf antenna on your aeroplane, there's a huge bubble of signal around your aeroplane. And all this has to do, the beam from this, is to touch any corner of that bubble, and you will have video and the data will keep coming in. This was a, well, not so short video about the calibration, the video channel selection, and also a little bit about the airside module. I'll put down underneath the video all the literature, and as I said, a little link to Painless 360's video about wiring the airside module. All the things that basically once you go through them, you will know exactly what to do with this. Now, hopefully, as the weather gets better, we will be doing some flights with this thing and find out exactly how good this biquad antenna is and how far it actually takes us into the signal. Thank you very much once again for joining me. As I always say, like and subscribe if you find this video useful. The link for purchasing one of these, if you want, will be also underneath the video. And fly safe, have a good day, and I'll see you on another one of my videos. Bye.